Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having a great day. Guys, in this video, I want to talk about my Chimera Calambas team that I used in this rotation number 2, right? The reset is just calculating. Right now, the Chimera Clash has ended, and tomorrow we're going to see the results. We placed first with Conquest. But I want to talk about my team actually that I used this week, and it was actually pretty interesting. It was the first time that I used my Galathier since I pulled him, and I absolutely love it. I was super excited. And on top of that, we also have updated rewards on the trials, right? We have a 4-star Basalt now, we have a 3-star Basalt now that we can get, and the mythical mats are easier to achieve because they're not spread out across the board. They're more compact on single trial trees. Now with this team, I was able to get 15 trials done, and I actually got 18 mythical mats, a 4-star Basalt and a 3-star Basalt with this run. Now to get the mythical mats, you definitely don't need Galathier. Galathier is basically here just enabling the trial that rewards us the 3-star Basalt, right? So the decreased resistance is needed for the 3-star Basalt. That's why I used him. Also, he's a great champion overall, right? And I was excited to use him. But you can theoretically use an Elva, for example, and a Ninja instead of Toshiro, and still get the 18 mythical mats, basically, as well as the 4-star Basalt. I'm pretty sure there are also other teams that can do this, get the 18 mythical mats. I missed 7, which are the ones that are available through poison damage. It was a little bit hard for me to implement poisons. Now I tried to replace Lydia with Balar to get the poison trial done, but then I kinda, had some problems on the Ram form since I get reflected a lot and Toshiro dies a lot, so therefore I need Galathier to revive a lot. But I don't have him completely booked yet, his revive, and still needs a book, so the cooldown is kind of high. It's high already, right? But with Lamassu, it would definitely be a little bit easier to do it because of the reset, but I wasn't feeling it. This team right here just went much smoother, and I decided to miss out on those 7 mythical mats and go for the 18 because it's much easier. So as I said, replacements for Galathier, Elva, right? She replaces Perfect Whale. Siphi might work too. And then for Toshiro, Ninja, also perfectly fine because he places Perfect Whale on himself. And if you have Lydia in there with this Nature's Bounty Blessing that has a chance to place True Fear, you don't get reflected damage, and maybe you can deal some damage with Perfect Whale on your Ninja before he dies, and that way you can complete those trials. Now, this is the team that was used to get the maximum amount of rewards this week, right? We have a Faina in here, we have Galathier in here, Toshiro for the Perfect Whale as well, and the Leech, Riho for all the debuffs, and Theodore for the Poison trial. And yeah, that's pretty much what the top end used to get the maximum amount of mythical mats. And this one is actually pretty interesting because Rio here is being used to reflect the poison sensitivity on the Viper form, and that's how you get that trial done, right? As you might have noticed, that none of these champions are placing poison sensitivity. Riho needs to reflect it, which she does with her passive, and then you need to deal the poison damage by activation. So yeah, pretty interesting to be honest. Also, Riho was a guaranteed Void Legendary at some point, and back then I decided to not pull for her. But, now it seems like she is getting a lot of love in Chimera, and I wish I went for her. And yeah, that's sometimes how it goes, and that's also why I'm always saying that guaranteed champions are a must-do for me personally, because you never know when they might become useful, when they might become a buff or something. So why not go for them and just have them already in case you need them, right? And the same thing happened for a lot of other champions. It's not only this one example. Now, if we take a look at my second run, you might notice that it has a little bit, lower clash points here. 4.2 billion instead of 4.6, and that's because I missed out on one trial. The first run was super smooth, and the second run was kind of a annoying thing because I missed out on this trial several times, and there's a reason for it, which I don't really like. I think it should be changed, to be honest, in my opinion, because you're kind of getting punished for doing the right thing. And what I'm talking about is the trial where you have to block 7 stuns with block debuffs, right? Now, the thing with this trial is that it is the third trial, the last one out of a trial tree. And you need to complete it on the ramp form, right? So you need to complete the first 2 of this trial tree in the first cycle of the ramp form to be even able to complete it, because the ramp form only uses the stun skill twice in a cycle. There's a single target stun with the A1, but the AoE stun skill is only used twice. So you kind of need to complete the first 2 trials in order to be able to complete the last one in the second cycle. And there are a lot of things that can go wrong, but you can play around it. What you can't control is the one thing that is super annoying, and that's weak hits. If the Chimera weak hits your champion, Chimera is not trying to place stun, and that is a huge problem, in my opinion, because basically you're getting punished for using the right affinity, right? You're using the strong affinity, which should benefit you and not hinder you to do trials, right? It's such a weird concept, in my opinion. And yeah, I have 2 force affinity champions, Gelethir and Lady Mikage, so I have twice the chance to get weak hit. And if that happens, I'm not completing this trial. And it is very annoying. I wish this skill that I'm talking about, let me actually pull it up real quick. So here we can see the skills of the ram form. And here, this is what I'm talking about. So Hammertail Quake attacks one enemy, then attacks all other enemies. Increases the damage dealt, blah, 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 blah. Places a stun debuff on all enemies except the initial target for 1 turn. So basically, every time the Chimera uses a skill, there's a chance that you get 4 stuns on your champions, right? But you need to get 7, so you're allowed to get 1 weak hit, basically. The rest is not that relevant for this trial, but what bothers me is that weak hits are denying to complete this trial. So, in my opinion, it should be placing the stun before attacking. That way, you don't get punished for using the right affinity. Right now, we have the magic affinity on the forms, right? On Ram form, Viper, and Lion, and Force on the ultimate form. So Force affinity should be the strong affinity, which it is. That's why you get weak hit, right? By the magic affinity. But it kind of punishes you on this trial. And I tried it multiple times. The first run was very solid. I literally ran it 1 time and it worked. And then the second time I tried it, I had to restart like 20 times and I couldn't do it. And then I said, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to keep it that way without this trial. I'm going to miss out on the 4-star assault once, but it is what it is. And yeah, you can get 2 4-star assaults if you run Ultra Nightmare twice, which I did. And, 18 mythical mats or even 25 per key. That means 36 or 50. So yeah, pretty interesting, to be honest. If you want to maximize your rewards, you definitely want to run Ultra Nightmare twice, especially now that we have a 4-star assault in there as well. But this trial is one of the most annoying ones. Now, recently they changed the way this works. There was another thing that could actually mess up this trial, which was resisting. So you were kind of getting punished for building your champs with resistance. Now they changed it actually. The Chimera is checking if you have block debuffs up before checking your resistance. So that is out of the window. Now it's only weak hits. It's much better, but I think it's still not the way it should be. At least it doesn't feel like it, right? Weak hits on your champions should not punish you, right? At least that's my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this trial. It gave me a lot of headache in the past. Now it's really a lot better, but RNG can still go wrong if you use the right affinity. I guess we have to build a full Void team to be able to complete this trial without headaches. And here you can actually see the rewards from my second run. Only the 4-star assault is missing, basically. Everything else is the same, but good enough for me, and I kept it. Now here's the run. I start with Lamassu. She's my fastest champion. I'm going to show you the builds after this. And yeah, I'm trying to get the decreased speed going first, right? And then I'm using the decreased defense and weaken. Also need the block buffs because the Chimera is trying to put up the increased speed, which I want to block. It's very important, so I slow her down or she doesn't get, sped up. And yeah, now it's just full damage. The only thing I'm worried about is the provoke now, and then after that, the buff strip skill that does more damage. So I want to keep the decrease attack on a Chimera up, and I want to stack up Toshiro's damage, right? I want to have Leech on a Chimera. I want to place debuffs with Toshiro as well, because that stacks up the damage from his relic, which is the Coronet. And also, I want to stack up his stats with his A2, and for that, I have to have Leech on the Chimera. So that's kind of like the two things that I'm worried about in the first 5 turns before we go into the Ram form, so I can stack up Toshiro's damage and make sure he's able to complete the trials on the Ram form. So before we go into the Ram form, I want to make sure that my Lady Mikage is in the second form, because I need to increase accuracy on my team to complete one of the trials, which I target, which rewards mythical mats. This is very important. I don't want to place it with Galatier. I don't want to swap forms because he needs to be ready to revive, cleanse, heal, boost turn meter, and so on. So Lady Mikage is actually built in a Relentless set, so that makes it easier to go back into the first form, but I think that the Metamorph is not on cooldown anyway. But yeah, I want to keep her in the second form for the increased accuracy, because I need to place 7 debuffs with my team while they are buffed with increased accuracy. So pretty important. And as you will see here in a second, my Lamassu is the one with the lowest crit damage and gets targeted by the Ram form, but no problem. Galatier is ready to revive, gets an extra turn as well. He's built in Relentless too. And yeah, now I need to buff the increased accuracy. There we go. Decrease speed, slow the Ram form down. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I just need to place all the debuffs that I can while I have the increased accuracy up and complete the first trial. Also, a pretty cool thing is that I can make use of the ally attack from Lady Mikage to put the fear on the Ram form. And as you can see here, the true fear procced on Lydia. And then I reset her skills, or basically, it wasn't about a reset, it was about her going before Toshiro so she can put up the decreased defense, and Toshiro can go full out on damage. And boom, 4 trials completed. Now I need to place 6 debuffs and 6 buffs on my team and on the Chimera. And that's a little bit tricky because I'm extending debuffs with Lady Mikage, and therefore I can't replace them if I extend them too much. So I want to keep them low. I want to have them run out a little bit at least, so I can place, more debuffs. It's pretty important. So yeah, also a cool thing about Toshiro is that you can swap forms with him and he won't die due to reflect damage. If you have Leech on the Chimera, he doesn't deal that much damage in the second form, and it's actually pretty good. He still does something. He can put out debuffs, decrease speed and Leech and so on, but he won't instantly one-shot himself. So that's pretty interesting and helpful, especially when you're trying to complete this trial right here. Right, so now, perfect. We completed the trial number 2, which rewarded mythical mats. Now we only have to complete this one, which is the one I was talking about earlier, block 7 stun debuffs, using block debuffs, intercept, stone skin, and so on. And it's a perfect scenario because we completed all the trials we could. I mean, I could theoretically complete this one as well if I get one more champion with War Master. That would help, probably, but I'm not really targeting this. This is just a byproduct of 320,000 damage from War Master procs. But now I'm pretty much prepared for the second cycle to complete this hard trial, which I want because of the 4-star assault, right? It's very valuable. Now the Lion form, there's not really much to say. Megalathier has the highest defense, but he's, just tanking the damage. I built him with some resistance, not a lot, but some. So he's, decreasing the amount of damage he gets. Before I used Galateer, I used Siphi a lot, right? And I'm probably still going to use her at some point. And when I used Siphi, I was actually building Lydia with the highest defense. So she's the target, because if she dies, I can just pick her up and it's not that big of a deal. If your reviver dies, it's pretty much over, right? And I want to avoid that. But yeah, here it is pretty much straightforward, just placing all the debuffs that I have and going full out on damage. And we want to complete the ally attack trial, which is done by Lady Mikage pretty easily with Toshiro, right? We also need the leech. And then there's this one trial where we have to have 10 debuffs on the Chimera, and one of them needs to be decreased resistance. And this is actually pretty tricky because I don't have 10 debuffs on this team, right? So I had to put somebody in a toxic set to fill up the debuff bar with poisons, as you can see. And then once I have 9 debuffs, I'm placing the decreased resistance with Galateer. So I need to swap forms, place the decreased resistance, and then, try to get back as fast as possible so he doesn't die, because he's a little bit squishy in the second form. But yeah, that's pretty much how I did this trial and got the free Stub Assault. On the Viper form, I'm not really trying to do any of the trials, to be honest. I mean, obviously I'm trying to do as many as I can, but there's not really anything that is super important. All I'm really trying here is trying to survive, right? Like cleansing, healing, putting up the block active skills, and then I can do like 3 trials, I think. That's the maximum amount of trials I can do here. And that's pretty easy. Just, put up all the debuffs and then start doing damage, and that's it. So yeah, by the time we reach turn 35, before we go into the second ram form cycle, we completed 14 trials. There's only one more we can do. Theoretically, there's 16 in total, but it's really just the one that I'm really worried about. And yeah, as you can see, I put my Toshiro in the second form so he doesn't kill himself instantly. And this is also a very important thing. The fear on the ram form can actually mess this up as well, because if the fear procs when the Chimera is trying to do one of these skills, like the A2 or the A3, it's getting delayed by 1 turn, and the Chimera won't use the AoE stun twice. So if that happens, it's already messed up. So basically, I'm trying to avoid using the A1 as much as possible with Lydia, so the ram form doesn't miss out on a turn and is not using, the skill. The only time when I use the A1, or when I want the fear to be, or when it's okay to have the fear on the ram form, is when both of these skills are on at least a 2-turn cooldown. And then if the Chimera misses a turn while it tries to use the A1, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't mess up the cycle of the skills, so it's not a big deal. And here, the first debuff that you're trying to place on the ram form is getting reflected. So I use the A1 with Lydia, so I keep the cooldowns of my skills, right? The A2 and the A3 of Lydia ready, so I don't have to put the fear on the ram form when I don't want it. I think that's a pretty important detail, which helped me to complete this trial, right? So basically now the Chimera is going to use this AoE stun attack, and Galateer just got a turn right on time. And here's the situation where I could have used the A1 and put the fear on ram form, but it could have messed up the run, so I'd rather use something else like the A3 here. Doesn't really matter if it's the A2 or the A3. And then I gave Galateer Thermi to reset his skill. And as you can see, I blocked 4 stuns, right? Out of 4. So 4 out of 4. Let's watch it one more time. So I'm using the A3 on Galateer. Now, as you can see, Lydia actually resisted the block debuff removal, but the debuff still got blocked. And yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4 debuffs got blocked. No weak hit whatsoever. And this is pretty much the best case scenario. Now, if Lady Mikage got weak hit here, I would only get 3 stun blocks, right? And now here you can see the ram form is getting ready to use the A2 again. And my Lydia is taking a turn. All the skills are on cooldown. I only have the A1 ready. I can probably manipulate this with Lamassu if I reset the skills of Lydia to make sure she's not placing the fear when I don't want it. But I kind of messed it up, you know, and I was already worried, like, oh no, the fear is gonna proc and it's gonna be, you know, over. I have to restart. So I even got the true fear proc. And yeah, it was kind of annoying, to be honest, but it is what it is, and I had to play it out and see if the fear procs, and if not, it's good, right? The ram farm is still trying to place the stuns, but if it procs, the run is messed up and I have to restart. But in the end, it worked out. So yeah, it was a little bit of a gamble, but I won it, I guess. So yeah, theoretically, like I said, you can manipulate it, but by resetting the skills of Lydia with Lamassu and then using the A2 or A3. And here we go. I got the last 3 blocks of stuns, and yeah, that's pretty much end of the story. So in the end, I got 15 trials, 4.6 billion clash points, and overall, I'm pretty happy about this. I'm always trying to hit the 4 billion, right? I want to get 8 billion clash each week, so I get the maximum amount of gemstones from the clash rewards, which kind of need to be buffed a little bit. Maybe that would be amazing if that gets buffed next. I think a lot of people would be happy about this. But yeah, 222 million damage, 4.6 billion clash points. And like I showed earlier, these were the rewards: 4-star assault, 3-star assault, 43 rare mats, 25 epic, 18 mythical, and 1 gemstone. All right, so let me show you the builds. Here we have Toshiro the Bloody. He's built in a 6-piece Merciless set, 2-piece Zeal set, and 1 piece of Pinpoint. And he has 54k almost HP, 8.5k attack, 3.1k defense, 201 speed. Actually pretty slow, but it doesn't really matter. He's still dealing enough damage. 107% crit rate. You know, you want to hit 100% crit rate, obviously. 337 crit damage. 396 accuracy is totally fine because he's ignoring resistance when booked. I do have the coronet on him, which helps a lot for these type of champions that plays a lot of debuffs. He gets 30% more damage. It's a 4-star. And I have the Boss Slayer on him, which gives him another 10% more damage. This is the best in slot for this circular gem slot. And then the triangular I'm using is another 3% Death Ignore, which is also the best in slot. His first form is completely booked. I did not book the second form. It doesn't need to be booked, to be honest. Would probably be a waste of books, but the first form definitely needs to be booked, especially the A2 and the A3. That helps a lot. 20% more damage and ignoring resistance, very important. Then I have the Nature's Wrath on him for an additional 15% more damage. He has a 5-star soul, gives him a lot of accuracy, gives him crit damage and the attack and HP as his skills. Scale of attack and HP. So yeah, these are his masteries. I didn't even finish them completely, but I also don't think I need to. But yeah, pretty much went down to Helm Smasher and the Master Hexa to extend his debuffs. Maybe reset his cooldown of his skills and get some extra stats from Lore of Steel. That's pretty much it. Then we have Galathir here in a Relentless set. Also have some HP from the Stone Skin and res and HP from Supersonic. It's pretty much the accessories I use him in for my arena build. I just basically put a Relentless set on him and tried it. He's a little bit slow, to be honest. I would love to make him faster, but my Relentless gear is just not, you know, with a lot of speed. So that's kind of the best that I can come up with. I also built Mikage in a Relentless set, and she got probably the best pieces already. So 84k HP, 5.2k defense, highest defense in the team, 322 speed, 555 resistance, which really helps him to survive. I have the Perched Shadow Relic on him, which is super strong. Like, he boosts a lot of turn meter with his A1. He also boosts turn meter with his A2, so I'm kind of using it on cooldown. And then I'm just using the A1s, and he gets so many extra turns with the Relentless and the Set and the Purge Shadow Relic. On top of that, I have this. When the wearer heals an ally with the skill, the heal is 10% more effective, so 20% more heal from Galathier's A2. And yeah, he's not completely booked. I miss one book on his A3 on the Revive skill, but I do have the A2 booked and the A1 as well, which just gives more damage, but he's definitely not there for damage. And then the second form is not booked at all. I'm using Temporal Chains on him, but that's just for Arena. If I would, optimize this for Chimera, I would probably go with Intimidating Presence or something else. But yeah, that's just my Arena build. And here are the masteries. I went for more resistance. Like I said, just something that I did for Arena. Maybe I would change that. I don't know if it's the best mastery build for Arena. I just went with things that made sense to me. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Galathier. And we have Lydia here in a 5-piece Feral set and a Toxic set. Normally I use her in a 9-piece Feral set, so here I just slapped the best Toxic set I have on her with the most amount of speed, and these are her stats. And yeah, she's fully awakened, so that definitely helps with the build. 304 speed. She's almost crit capped, which also helps a little bit with the damage. 375 resistance, 515 accuracy is definitely what you want to aim for. You want to go above 500 accuracy, and a little bit more than that is even better. I do have the Gaze of Damnation on her for additional accuracy. It really helps to get the stats up. Completely booked Nature's Bounty to be able to convert the fear debuff into a true fear. 60% chance on a 6-star soul is really proccing a lot more often than you would think, and it makes my life so much easier. Would I change it to Nature's Bounty if I had a 3-star or even a 1-star soul? Yeah, definitely would. It's just a 15% chance or a 30% chance, but at least you have a chance to get a greater version of the debuff, which just negates the whole reflect damage, and then you can pretty much complete the trials on a ram form pretty easily. Then here are the masteries. On Lydia, I went with War Master, Master Hexer, Lasting Gifts to extend the buffs, extend the debuffs, and have some extra damage. Really does help. But you can probably go with Eagle Eye if you need the accuracy instead of War Master. Doesn't really matter. Just a little bit of min-maxing here with War Master. Here is Lady Mikage in a Relentless set. 4-piece Relentless set, 4-piece Merciless set. 1 piece of Protection is probably because it's the best banner that I have from the Shadowkin faction with the most amount of speed. It has accuracy as well, and she needs accuracy. So 330 speed and 359 accuracy is all she needs because she's ignoring resistance as well if she's booked, and that allows you to lower your accuracy. Normally you would aim for 520-ish accuracy, but because she's ignoring 20% resistance with her skills when they're booked, you can go to like 350. Now this build is one of my favorite builds for Lady Mikage for Chimera because you have a 30% chance to decrease a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn when dealing damage. All of her skills deal damage in the first form, so you always have a 30% chance there. Then you have an 18% chance to get an extra turn, and that procs a lot as well. Then we have the Purged Shadow Relic 2 on 3-star, and you have a 14% chance to get an extra turn from the A1 when one of the skills are on cooldown. I have the same relic on Lamassu and Galathier 2, and yeah, it really helps a lot. Getting those extra turns just ups your damage by so much. Her first form is not completely booked. Her A1 just misses 1 book, but I also don't really need it since it's just 10% more damage. I have a 4-star blessing on her Cruelty, which helps with the damage. You definitely want to have Intimidating Presence. You want to have Cruelty. You might want to consider Brimstone. And these are kind of like the 3 blessings that I would go for. The damage dealer, if he places debuffs, kind of should have Nature's Wrath, unless he has the 6-star blessing, then I would go with Crushing Rend. And these are masteries, so I also went with War Master on her just to up the damage a little bit. I don't need the extra accuracy, but like I said, with Lydia, if you need the accuracy, you can definitely go with Eagle Eye. I have Lasting Gifts on her and Master Hexa as well. And the last champion for this team is Lamassu. I have Lamassu in a 9-piece Feral set. Normally, I would have Lydia in a 9-piece Feral set, but because I had to put her in a Toxic set, I was thinking maybe I can put Lamassu in a Feral set, and I did. And it's really helping with the damage as well. 346 speed is pretty much all I was worrying about, and 514 accuracy, super important. Same for Lydia, right? She's the fastest champion in this team. I have the Purge Shadow Relic on her as well, which just helps to cycle her a free back and give Toshiro more turns, reset his cooldowns, or other allies' cooldowns to complete these trials. This skill just makes it so much easier. You have more control on who's going to get a turn and what skills can be used. So that is actually pretty huge. Completely booked. And it's also pretty important because you want to make sure to have the maximum amount of chance to place these debuffs, as they are really important for some of the trials. And also just overall control over the fight. Here are the masteries. I also went with War Master for Lamassu for additional damage. I don't need the accuracy in this build, as I said, so I think you kind of like see a approach here. If you need the accuracy, the extra accuracy, go with Eagle Eye. If you don't need it, just go with War Master for more damage. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. This is the first time I use Galathir. I know a lot of people don't have him, right? He's like one of the most wanted mythical champions. I was very lucky to pull him, and I thought, yeah, I'll give him a shot in Chimera because he's one of the best revivers in the game. And it really surprised me how good he actually is. Super strong with the turn meter boosts, and yeah, with the right build, he just keeps on boosting turn meters, gets extra turns, and so on. And it really helped me to, complete a lot of trials and push my damage. So yeah, pretty amazing. Let me know in the comments below what team you used this week to get, maybe some mythical mats or the 4-star Assault. I'm pretty sure there are multiple teams that can get 18 mythical mats now that they are easier to get, right? That the rewards are more compact in trials and not so spread over all the different trials. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The algorithm is going to suggest you a video that you might like right here. And see you in the next one.